Before that on BBC One, tough action from the day's pitched battles in Match of the Day.
Good evening. There are two types of English football, the one in which we're useless, have no technique and get knocked out of the World Cup. There's the one that the rest of the world loves more than their own. As Tottenham and Leeds United came out for their match at White Hart Lane today, no fewer than 17 other countries were televising it live, including Italy, Spain, Norway and Argentina. They may have the technique, we seem to have the excitement. No English players with technique? What about this man, Alan Shearer, up against his old club today? So was Tim Flowers. Blackburn against Southampton is our other main game. We have all the other goals from the afternoon, and Alan and Trevor will have views on the day's play and their postscripts to the week's international events. It has, of course, been soccer's Hangover Saturday.
I've said we can't be just a sweatshop at the back. We've got to be on the, in the fashion parade at the front and properly reflect what we're doing. That's been done by countries such as Italy, as Germany, as Holland. I mean, it's embarrassing. We've got Bolivia, we've got Greece, we've got Norway, we've got Switzerland. They have very limited resources, and with all our resources that we can't properly reflect it, it's nothing short of a disgrace.
More later. Well, Leeds United came to White Hart Lane today unbeaten in nine league games and bashing in the goals, 10 in their last 3. Spurs' form has recently slumped, 1 point out of 12. Our match commentator today, Tony Gubber.
5 weeks after being fined £7,000 by Tottenham and transfer listed for abusing manager Ossie Ardiles, Gordon Durie is surprisingly recalled today to try and end the goal famine and a run of poor results. Nevertheless, it may still be his last appearance in a Tottenham shirt. Durie has a meeting planned with Ardiles after the match, which seems certain to confirm his transfer, possibly to Glasgow Rangers. So Spurs, slipping 6 places in the Premiership, still searching for the right combination, but at least Darren Anderton did pass a late fitness test. Leeds, in comparison, are the fastest climbing team in the Premier Division. They have number 12, John Pemberton, coming straight in after signing from Sheffield United reserves as cover for the injured Newsom. Gordon Strachan is still absent with an injury, but the team are functioning pretty well without him. 10 goals in the last 3 matches. Joe Worrell, the man in charge of a fixture which produced a bagful of goals last season. Spurs winning this corresponding fixture 4-0 here at White Hart Lane, but having lost earlier in the season 5-0 at Leeds. Players, incidentally, with black armbands as a tribute to the former player and manager Arthur Rowe, who died earlier this month, aged 87. Dean won it. Mabadou's tied it up. Leeds onto it very sharply. McAllister trying to get it through for Rod Wallace, who's pace may... Oh, Thorstvedt put it straight to him. Dean couldn't get a touch on it, but they were unnerved, I think, by the pace of Rod Wallace. And they're still unnerved. McAllister from a long range, and Thorstvedt was scrambling. And what a nervous opening by the Tottenham defence. Maybe it was that little injection of pace from Rod Wallace which unnerved them. And then finally the long-range effort, which was only about a foot wide. Dorigo with the England squad in San Marino. Tony Dorigo, although he wasn't used or a substitute. Hazard trying to get things going. It looks as though he might have been held. Yes, whistle has gone. Hazard, who has been given a contract through till the end of the year. That was very sharp. The whistle's gone again. And Steve Sedgley, who was crunched David Weatherall, was the player who went right through on Steve Sedgley. And Darren Anderson has placed the ball very carefully. Didn't get it past the defensive wall, but gets a second go, and Beanie beat it out. And somehow Nick Barmby has missed an open goal. Anderton's snapshot when the ball came back to him off the defensive wall. Mark Beanie, now the first choice for Leeds, pushed it out right to Nick Barmby. How did he miss that? Well, he hasn't quite had the explosive impacts on football this season that he did last, Nick Barmby. No doubt the result of that operation for shin splints, but that's a bad miss at the start of a match when Tottenham desperately need goals and a result. Campbell looking for Jury. Fairclough, who got taller though. Samways, well done speed. It's very competitive. McAllister goes outside Calderwood. McAllister! He'll not be happy about that, Gary McAllister, because all of football knows that he really does have a tremendous shot on him. Either from free kicks, dead ball positions, or on the run like that. At that time he seemed to get his foot right underneath it and scooped it very high. Mabbott straight to McAllister and Dorigo. Calderwood won it. Leeds have the throw. Dorigo. Brian Dean. Closely marked, but wrestles to make a little bit of space, and it runs through to Rocastle, and the flag's up, it won't count. Spurs are saved by the linesman's flag. Dean, arms and elbows, making a real nuisance of himself, and well, the linesman's flag went up, but it looked very close from that angle. You'd have to be in line to be certain. Barmby trying to squeeze it down the line, and that'll be a Tottenham throw with 5 minutes to go to half-time. Jury, he's got Fairclough right behind him, and Joe Worrell has pointed for the corner. Came off the head of Fairclough. Mickey Hazard's got Sol Campbell available. Samways, they want to knock it in because the players have stayed forward. And now they might be caught short. That's right down the middle. Now we'll see the pace of Rod Wallace. He's gone away from Justin Edinburgh. Rod Wallace! Well, it was an explosive start, like the 100 metres dash in the Olympic Games. Horsfed. Rocastle doesn't quite run away from Justin Edinburgh. Speed let it go. And Wallace tried to give it him back. The crowd shouting to warn Hazard. Now McAllister. Dorigo makes the run in the left wing position. And surely he'll have to use him. Horsfed shouted, Mabbott moved out of the way, no problem. Anderton with space up the middle. Joe Worrell skipped out of the way. Anderton getting at them quickly. Look how quick Kelly is as well. Difficult ball for Barmby. And it's a Leeds ball. Gary Speed. Wallace. Skips through two of them. Wallace now. Dean's ahead of him. Speed's waiting. Goes outside. Mabbott cuts it back. Oh, they've arrived. Dorigo. Dean, he must score. He has. And has that opened up the match? We're 7 minutes into the second half. Wallace was the architect. Had time to look up. Went outside Gary Mabbott. A ball right along the edge of the 6-yard box. Dorigo might have scored. It got away from him. Dean, who scooped it in. Brian Dean, once rejected by Leeds as a schoolboy, putting his side ahead. Well, from somewhere, Spurs have got to construct a move that will bring them a goal. That depressing run of results threatens to continue. Just 1 point from the last 12. And in 4 games without Teddy Sheringham, they've only scored twice, and they're under pressure. McAllister prepared to have a go. It hit the post. Rocastle. Gary McAllister showing us finally how truly he can hit the ball. Thorsmet was absolutely full length and did well to push it onto the foot of the post. Real cause for concern for Ozzy Ardiles. Tottenham with 6 games coming up in the space of 16 days, including the Coca-Cola Cup tie against Blackburn. But of more pressing importance is their position in the league. It's a Leeds ball. And Joe Worrell indicating it's a free kick. McAllister will take it. Thorsmet flipped it out quite easily. Nicky Hazard. Oh, Barmby took a nasty one on the side of the knee from John Pemberton. Now, Joe Worrell has called the Leeds number 12 over to him, and that looked very, very painful indeed. The book's out, and this looks like a caution for John Pemberton in his first match as a Leeds player, making his debut. And a little shake of the head from Nicky Barmby, and that's a worry for Tottenham. Well, the foot was high, and the studs caught Barmby on the inside of the knee. And that's a bad sign, and a disappointing end to the match for Nicky Barmby. And let's hope that injury isn't too serious. Well, it might have been just below the knee, but it looked extremely painful. And it's David Howells who will replace the injured player. Well, apart from that chance that fell to Nick Barmby early in the match, Tottenham haven't really opened up Leeds and created a good chance. But maybe now Edinburgh knocks it in. Fairclough's diving header has cleared it. Knocked in by Anderton. Flick on! And then away from Hazard. And Tottenham may begin to feel they're just not getting the run of the ball. The crowd are doing their bit to try and lift them. Anderton. Fairclough had covered him. That'll be a Tottenham throw. Mabbott well forward. It's come bouncing through to Steve Sedgley. Good clearing header. Samways! Well, you feel it's going to need something spectacular like that for Tottenham to open them up. Pemberton's clearing header. And once again, the shot was always rising. Sol Campbell. Arrigo kept it in play, but he's given it to Hazard. Out to Edinburgh. Oh, it's a good touch by Edinburgh. What a good touch to control the ball. And it only needed an ounce more pace on it, and that might have beaten Mark Beanie. Hazard, who provided the ammunition, and Beanie at full stretch with Anderton lurking. David Rocastle will be disappointed at being pulled off, to be replaced by number 25, Noel Whelan, 18 years of age, a 6-foot striker. Speed to Gary McAllister. The substitute, Whelan in support. Here's Whelan. Oh, at the post! And Brian Deane couldn't, on that occasion, direct the rebound into the net. Gary Speed through for Brian Deane, and offside. Well, the teenager Noel Whelan only on the field for a few seconds, but given an opportunity there to make the game safe for his team. Howell's header. Here's Samways. Fairclough in pursuit. Cut out by Weatherall. And he's picked it up. Was that a back pass? The crowd immediately drew Joe Worrell's attention to it, and his interpretation is that it was. David Weatherall, who stretched to intercept. The ball came off his foot. The keeper couldn't pick it up. Now, was that a deliberate back pass? Anderton. Oh, he's got it through! Anderton has squeezed it through the defensive wall. Tottenham are level. Oh, Leeds, they'll ask questions about that. Look at the hole that opened up. Mark Beanie, whose elevation to the #1 spot in goal for Leeds has coincided with that terrific run of results, caught out there at the near post. Speed, who chested it down. Tottenham, who claimed possession. Jury for Samways to get onto. Oh, he got in a great strike, and the keeper dropped it. Oh, it looked as though Mark Beanie, fumbling that at the post, had dropped it back over his own line. Tottenham end that run of 2 defeats by rescuing a point here at home against Leeds. Plenty of excitement, plenty of commitment, 1 goal apiece at White Hart Lane.
Who had the better of that for you today, Trev?
I thought Leeds United played extremely well and, you know, full of confidence. Gary McAllister was excellent again in midfield. I keep saying that whenever I see him, and he's having a very, very good season. And they look full of confidence. Spurs came back well, But I mean, it was that sort of controversial decision late on that did turn it with the back pass.
Have a look at that for us, that Spurs equaliser and free
Well,
kick.
I mean, it's one of those difficult ones, isn't it? Because it was brought in, let's be fair, because there was a lot of time wasting, and the essence of it is got to be a deliberate back pass. And however way you look at this, there's no way this defender, David Weatherall, is deliberately knocking that back to his goalkeeper. He doesn't know what's behind him, so he's intercepted it. I think to be on the safe side, under these circumstances, the goalkeeper should whack it or kick it upfield, but you can see the Spurs players appealing, the crowd shout, but I think there should be some consistent rule that says that isn't a deliberate back pass, let's go on, and the goalkeeper should pick it up, because this is what happens afterwards. It's an indirect free kick, it's rolled to the side, those four in the wall should stay together. You know, you see the two come away, Brian Deane puts out his leg, unfortunately it goes through him, off his heel. Beanie's got no chance, and Leeds actually end up with a draw, and they were very frustrated when they came off because they should have got the 3 points.
And the rule is it has to be a deliberate
and for me, there was no way that was.
Okay. Well, after the match, it was learned that the transfer of Gordon Durie to Rangers has been agreed by 2 chairmen, so it looks as if Durie is about to get his wish, a move to Ibrox.
It seems to be an open secret that you're actually going to Glasgow Rangers, and that's always been your ambition.
Yeah, I think people that know me know it's always been a dream to play there and whatever, and if things work out then hopefully I'll be there next week sometime.
Has there been just a late hiccup because of the injury to Nick Barmby? Are Tottenham going to wait and see how serious that is before they conclude the deal?
To be honest, I don't really know how bad Nicky is. I think it's more or less just a kick on where he got his operation on his shin splints or whatever, but I think Nicky could be fit quite soon, so I don't see that as being a problem.
Good. Now, of course, Blackburn Rovers and Southampton have been big business partners. No less than £5.3 million has moved between them as Alan Shearer and Tim Flowers changed clubs. Well, this afternoon, both England internationals lined up for Blackburn against their old team, watched by Barry Davis.
Well, you really couldn't blame him if he turned the wrong way. How ironic that Tim Flowers' home debut for Blackburn Rovers should be against his old club. But this is a day when new friends and old friends will both applaud him. In his stead, in the Southampton goal, is Ian Andrews, who's certainly taken his chance well after being made to wait for so long. The lineups in front of 2 former colleagues show mixed reports for the 2 managers. Kenny Dalglish has Alan Shearer back, recovered from a back problem, but Colin Hendry is out because of flu, presumably something to do with the difference in temperature between Malta, where he was with Scotland, and back at home. Southampton are missing Peter Reid, and Mickey Adams is only a substitute. In their stead comes a rare chance for the club captain Glenn Cockerell and the young 22-year-old Simon Charlton, who was signed from Huddersfield in the close season. And as the referee, Keith Cooper from Pontypridd, gets the match underway, interestingly, Matthew Letizier gives a thumbs-up sign to the opposition goalkeeper, his former clubmate. Ian Dowie in the corner. Pitch has under soil heating, but it hasn't been working that well of late, but it looks in perfect condition. Ripley. Comes to Lasso. Good tackle. Ken Moncao leaving the middle to very good purpose. Picking out the man deeper, who is Batty. Didn't really need the extra touch, but now he may have played Sherwood in, just a touch wide. Henningberg. Ripley. Still. The first chance which he wasn't able to use looked the better. Dowie. Referee encouraging Southampton to get on with it. That's not a bad try. Good strike on the turn by Neil Maddison. And it's he who provides the first test for Flowers, to which he was comfortably equal. Ripley. Use that little space well. Not a bad try either. From a good way out. But there was a little drop of the shoulder then, which persuaded one or two he was coming cross field. He went into the gap and hit a good right footer. Newell inside his Ripley. Break was to his left. He gave it away. Slice from Moncao worked out for him. But intercepted by Batty. This is Lasseau. Newell is far post. Lasseau with a shot. Showing so much confidence, Lasseau. And you wouldn't believe that was a shot from a man who hasn't scored for a couple of years. Just turned over. Looked spectacular. Was a good start, but one that Andrews would have expected to make. Shearer right in front of the goalkeeper. In comes Marker. At the back is May. Southampton pushing out. Batty. He was held a bit by Benali. Newell. Oh, good save! Denies David May. It's still in play. Marker. Another good stop by Andrews. And he gets applauded by the man at the other end and by the spectators all around the ground. Really did well. First of all, from David May, that was an excellent parry. And then on the follow-up. Newell. Perhaps easy to see from up here, but I wonder why he didn't go on his own. Again, won by Mike Newell. Shearer. As well to put it back. Newell didn't do as well. Given the penalty. He was pulled back by Moncao, says the referee. As Newell went for the shot, the referee adjudged that he was pulled back, which was the reason for the miss, and Alan Shearer has the chance of his 10th goal of the season for Blackburn Rovers from the penalty spot. Oh. And so comfortable. Total confidence. Goalkeeper went the right way. Wasn't too far away with the hand. The left hand went for it, didn't make it, and Blackburn lead with 23 minutes and 22 seconds gone. Letizier still plenty forward, away from the oncoming Charlton. Neatly done by Allen. And a brave attempt by Ian Dowie on the far post. Good comeback by Southampton. Good play by Paul Allen. Got a little bit of luck then. Cracked it across. And Dowie launched himself. Five around the 6-yard box. Moncao, and off the line by Wright. Lasseau, he's got a long way to go. Alan Wright positioned inside the right post. From the goalkeeper's viewpoint, cleared well. Good chest by Dowie. This is Letizier. Good cross too. Needed to be put out of harm's way and was by May. Flowers then pulls Dowie to his feet. Good defensive header that denied May. Yeah, that denied Dowie by May. Back by Wood, but just one to be chased. Blackburn making life very difficult for themselves. Cockerell. Letizia trying to dig out a shot, the ball slightly behind him, but not one of his better efforts. Bennett gets away and is pulled back. Now what's the referee going to do about that? That was a blatant pullback and he may well have got clear. David May, the offender. Well, it's only a yellow card. He's very lucky. There was one other defender there who might have cut down the line that Bennett was taking, but really, just to get a free kick for that doesn't seem right, unless he scores from it, and Johnny nearly did. Matthew Letizia. Over the wall, and Flowers got across beautifully. Bound to provide one test for his old chum. Will he provide another? The man from Hales Owen was certainly getting away and was pulled back. Utterly blatant, but there was one at least and maybe two defenders back to cover, which is the reason why it was only yellow. But Southampton deserved better. Now here's a chance for Blackburn. Batty. Newell starts to come in, then goes out. Good running the other way by Sherwood. Good break and good stop. Got a little knock above the bridge of the nose. Good reverse pass, and Moncau doing a little bit of arm waving, and the goalkeeper brave. Bennett. Letizia. Doesn't get away this time. Newell. Gallagher. Wright is over this side and is unmarked. There's Shearer! Wonderfully taken goal by Alan Shearer. Against the run of play, it has to be said. But a really fine finish from a quick break. A good cross. Newell, who set up the opportunity for Gallagher to get in a good cross. He did. And on the volley, spectacular effort from Alan Shearer. Sheer pace of the finish, beating Andrews, and it's 2-0 to Blackburn Rovers. And he scored both. Plenty forward. Maddison, good save. That was a really stinging header from Neil Maddison. And it was a good stop. Sherwood. May. Nice dummy. Good play by Blackburn. Good turn. Right! Smallest player on the field who crept in. Excellent turn by Gallagher. And right with the flick. And Andrews had to be lively, as he has been all through. You can see why he's keeping Dave Besant out of the side. Dowie. Maddison, unlucky. Not to be Southampton's day. Good look up by Dowie. Through the defender's legs, May, but the wrong side of the post from his point of view. Well, it will be his side's best home success of the season. Shearer, nice touch. Sherwood. Gallagher. Got right underneath it. Two nothing to Blackburn Rovers. Both goals scored by Alan Shearer. Both taken with great confidence. The first from the penalty spot, the second a spectacular near post volley. Tim Flowers opens his career at Blackburn by keeping a clean sheet, and his opposite number having no chance with the two that beat him. Both goalkeepers playing well, and Southampton a little hard done by, because the punishment certainly didn't fit the crime. They would feel, have got the equaliser, and then suddenly they're two down.
We've got to have a strong squad, Barry, and that's what we intend to get, and that's what we'll continue to look for. We're happy with the players we have at the moment, but that's not to say that we wouldn't look to improve it if someone came along. So, as I say, we just try to do our job properly, and as I say, the interest of Blackburn Rovers is the thing we have at heart.
Some people would be slightly jealous of the fact that you know that you can do that. If it doesn't quite work out and the right player comes along, you can get him.
Yeah.
Do you understand their feeling?
I can understand the feeling, but I would also understand that they would be, if they were in my position, they'd be doing exactly the same thing. Whether they pick the same players or not, I don't know. It's up to them, isn't it? I mean, we're very fortunate here. Jack Walker's been a magnificent benefactor, as you can see from surrounds it's going up here. Jack Walker's put £22 million into English football, mostly into English football anyway. How can anybody be criticised for doing that? If I've been given money to buy players, then it's up to me to pick players. And if I pick bad players, well, I won't be here, will I? So, as I say, I've been given money to back my judgment, and I try to do it to the best of my ability.
You've always got to have the next question up your sleeve for Kenny. You have it waiting there at all times.
It's a bit like that, isn't he?
Absolutely. Now, have a word about Southampton first. They're still in the bottom three, but you felt they showed a bit of promise today, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought they played with a lot of commitment, and obviously the manager's had a lot of criticism, most of it undue, I feel. But certainly if they can keep playing with that commitment and spirit, to be fair, they never looked like winning that game today. But if they keep playing like that, I think they can get out of trouble.
Now, we keep talking about lack of technique as far as English players are concerned, but what about Shearer's performance today?
Well, for me, he just gets better and better. Bob Paisley once said that every player's got a weakness, but I'm finding it hard to find his weakness. He was terrific again today. This is his goal. We've got him circled here with Jeff Kenna. Two things to look out for here. One, how he delays his run to make sure he's behind the plate, and two, watch the aggression. The left hand comes out, pushes Kenna away. He's going to get there first. Good ball in, but that is a terrific finish. A classic position to volley it, and he just bullets it in the back of the net.
I just wonder if he'd been available for more of England's qualifying games, whether the story might have been different. He played in 3 out of the 10, that's all.
I think if he had played in the 10, England would be going to America in the summer.
Well, of course, criticism of England's exit from the World Cup has ranged from the predictable sack the manager kind of stuff to analysis of life as we know it. Graham Taylor, understandably, took a day out of the spotlight today, but for everyone who plays the game at whatever level, they simply had to get back to business.
England hopefuls for the 2006 World Cup attended a squad session this morning. The Larkspur Rovers under-9s were as disappointed as anyone after Wednesday's result in Bologna. The future of English football is the main topic of conversation for managers and players.
Well, I think it's going to be quite boring without watching England play in the World Cup.
Are you very disappointed?
Yes, very. They should have went through. They should have beat Holland on that day, and San Marino not letting that goal in. if they would have done more passes, they would have got nearer to the goal. And when Stuart Pearce done that pass to Seaman, disgraceful.
It's not just the tabloids that are fierce critics, it seems. Everyone has an opinion about what's wrong with English football.
I think you should let the natural flair come through. Players that have got the ball, that can do something with the ball, let them do their own thing. I think a lot of the coaching at the clubs at the moment, they're trying to stop that. And they just want people that can run for 90 minutes, close down and not lose. It's a not-lose situation, isn't it?
So what will change? For starters, the Football Association want junior football to be all about skill and technique. Through the centres of excellence, they want to put the most talented youngsters with the best coaches. And they want to restrict the number of games those talented youngsters play in.
Now that is radical when you've got agreement of the clubs on the one side and the schools FA on the other side. So we are making progress right at the bottom. What we've got to do is make sure that we have a structure right at the top so that the players who stay can be part of a successful structure.
That structure would bring about an overall style for English football. The youth team players of Chelsea and Spurs were in action this morning. Some will be successful in the Premiership, but will they be equipped to be successful at international level? Chelsea's youth team coach is Graham Ricks.
But the star that wins the championship doesn't always do well at international level.
A dilemma for the English game.
Well, it is. I mean, what do we want? The people pay the money every week. They pay the 50,000 at Old Trafford, and they want to see fast, furious football, and they demand it, and that goes throughout the league. And then at international level, that's not good enough. So players have got to be good enough and technically able to play one way on a Saturday and a different way on a Wednesday. And in my view, good players can do that.
It was fast and furious at Stamford Bridge today. Premier League crowds like it that way. Interesting market research will be to discover what was most important, club or country. World Cup '94 was forgotten between 3 o'clock and 4:45. Alan Smith put Arsenal ahead. They were on their way to 3 more points. Chelsea were travelling en route to their 6th consecutive league defeat. Chelsea manager Glenn Hoddle was ill in bed. If he'd watched this side's performance this afternoon, it wouldn't have aided his recovery. David Lee clipped Ian Wright's heels. At first it had looked as though Wright had missed the chance. Referee Philip Don spotted the illegal tackle. The England striker scored from the penalty. 2-0 Arsenal by half-time, and Chelsea were fortunate not to concede more in the second half. Once the final whistle had gone, back to the England debate.
We should be in the World Cup. We have to be in the finals of the World Cup, and it's a great shame for English football. But in our view, changing the England manager in isolation is not enough. And as you're probably aware, we've been campaigning virtually alone for several years for the reduction into for the Premier League to go down to 18 clubs. And we hope now that the FA will take it on board very seriously. After all, it was in their blueprint. And we hope that all the other Premier League clubs will now agree, because that must be for the benefit of the game as a whole.
At all levels of football, the future of the England side is the main topic of conversation. England have a great opportunity to perform well when they host the European Championships in 1996. But in restructuring the game, football's leaders face a great responsibility.
This game can't be amateur driven by the FA. The FA has got to split itself in two, one for the amateur game, one for the professionals, and the coaching setup and syllabus has got to be run by professionals for professionals.
Individually, you can't expect clubs to have anything other than the major priority directed towards their own success, particularly at the moment with the financial pressures of the Taylor report, increasing wage demands. So to suggest that they should be thinking anything other than of their own interests first and foremost is wrong. But collectively, rather than individually, then I think we all recognise that we owe a duty to the England team, and perhaps it's a time for us all to stand up and be counted. It's too easy just to blame somebody else. I think we need a greater collective responsibility because it's in everybody's interests to get it right.
The irony of the situation is that it was in November 1953 that reality hit English football with the force of a sledgehammer. Hungary beat them 6-3, at the time a result of staggering proportions. Now the events of November 1993 mean that the great moments of national pride England enjoyed during Italia 90 will not be repeated in World Cup 94.
Ray Stubbs with that report. Do you think there's almost too much self-analysis going on at the moment, Trevor?
Well, there was bound to be a reaction because the disappointment was so huge. And I think the debate will go on. The fact is that because now you've got, 2.5 years without a competitive game, there is not going to be any panic button. So you've got time to sort of absorb and delve and listen to the various debate. But I think if anything is going to come out of this, and you know, the problems that Graham Taylor, who I thought, you know, conducted himself very well under the pressure he's been under. But if, you know, we haven't qualified and the 4 home countries haven't qualified, then there has to be change. I mean, if nothing happens on this occasion, then we might as well all pack up and go home.
But do you think, Alan, do you think English football has deteriorated in the last, say, 3 years since an England team got to the semi-final and very nearly the final of the World Cup?
I think it has. I think in Italia 90, England were lucky to get to the semi-finals. I said before, I don't think the players are coming through as they were 10, 15 years ago. And certainly you've got to teach the 9, 10, 11-year-olds how the game should be played. I think the biggest advantage you can have in professional football is to be competent in both sides. Now, if you look at the Premiership, 90...
Play with both feet,
yeah,
you mean?
play with both feet, yeah. Because the number of times I've been in a dressing room, you hear the manager say, keep him on his left foot, he's weak, so you channel him. You have him on his left foot where he can't cause you danger. Now, there's no way you can teach players at 19, 20, 21 to be like that. You've got to start early. You've got to start 9, 10, 11. Now, there's been arguments on all sides, but the bottom line is the players aren't coming through.
Graham Rix mentioned in that report, he's now the youth team trainer with Chelsea, he mentioned in that report that England players have got to be clever enough to play 2 methods of football. That's what he was saying. You play one on Saturday and you play another when you play... Has it always been like that?
What he's saying, they've got to do that in the way that we are currently playing, or too many of our sides are currently, because it is a fast pace. There's not time, particularly...
Has it got faster?
Oh,
I mean, in the last, say, 3 years?
I think it's got faster, but it's a misconception that you can't afford to get the ball forward quickly. When English teams were dominant in Europe between 77 and 85, the teams were getting the ball forward quickly. I mean, when we played at Liverpool, we had a side that could keep it for a couple of days if you really wanted to. But nobody would allow that.
Day and a half.
Yeah, just day and a half.
What you wanted was, I'd get the ball, look for Dalglish. Dalglish is a front man, so you're getting the ball forward quickly. The difference is that if you couldn't play it to Dalglish, you would play it, get it back, and everybody was comfortable in the ball, and you'd keep playing for the opening. That's what English teams can't do these days. When they're picked up tight, they can't give it and move as the teams did between 77 and 85.
The other trouble is that you're both Scots, as far as England...
Well, we'll talk about the British game, aren't we, and the English game, yeah.
Do you think that the Danes and the French are going through this kind of analysis at the moment, Trevor?
Well,
I mean, they both went out in
France
worse circumstances than England.
It was horrendous. To lose at home, you know, to Israel and then Bulgaria was dreadful. But I think we've just got to get our own, because we've got a lot of things going for us, but there's no question, as far as I'm concerned, that the actual technique, the bit of flair, whether it be a creative midfield player or the ability of an attacker to actually take on a defender and go
Trevor,
past
hasn't that always been the case?
The gap is wide.
Excluding your good self and a good few others. Yeah. But hasn't it always been the case that the British game has been behind? We see the Turks sometimes when they come here, they don't beat us, but they show technique.
Yeah, they've all got good technical ability. What you've got to try and do is integrate what's good about the British game and get the players to have better technical ability. I mean, for example, we all marvelled at the Romanians on Wednesday night, but I don't think they've got a chance of winning the World Cup. They're technically brilliant, they're great to watch, but they're brittle. I don't think English teams would fold as the Romanians might do.
What would you do in the short term? I mean, as you say, technique's got to be improved. You've got to start with the kids, stop the parents bawling at them and telling them to get forward and all that stuff. I believe all that, and that's absolutely right. But that's in the long term.
That's right.
What's going to happen in the what would you do in the short term to have England and Wales and the others being more competitive in an international arena?
Well, I think you've got to have, first of all, a set pattern, you know, that is based on good passing and good technique. Because if your national team and the actual coaching departments and structure within the national game are not preaching that philosophy, where do everyone get their lead from? And at the moment, I couldn't say to any youngsters who are asking me about the football, what sort of technique, what should I be playing? A dad who says, well, what sort of passing game should I be playing for my junior side? At the moment, I do not feel there is a lead from the top.
Don't you think, though, that perhaps with a different manager, and perhaps with that different manager selecting different players and being more consistent with his players, that England might very well be in the World Cup finals, and we wouldn't be going through, all this analysis?
I think if the World Cup qualifying started tomorrow, I still think England would be favourite in that group.
But we wouldn't have had a chance of winning it once we got there, Des. That's the key. Because we wouldn't be able to score the goals at the moment. We're not creative enough and we're not positive enough in the attacking third of the field.
But if Gascoigne had been fit and Shearer had been fit...
You look at Shearer, you look at Ferdinand, terrific players.
But who's going to supply
You
it?
need the supply. I mean,
that's right.
Gascoigne would be the man.
But one man, if he's injured, what happens then?
You've got to have 11 good players. You can't have 2 or 3 and say, pick them out and say they're terrific. You've got to have 11 terrific players to win the World Cup.
It's a big subject. Well, on Wednesday night, Inter Milan and the likes of Dennis Bergkamp will be bringing all that continental technique to Carrow Road in the UEFA Cup. Today's visitors were Manchester City. Gary Megson came into the Norwich side as they sought only their third home league goal. City included 2 World Cup finals men, Phelan and Quinn of the Republic of Ireland. Clive Tilsley commentating.
Here is Ian Culverhouse. Fox again. Squeezed in towards Sutton. And Coate just had to help it on its way. Will Fox, the supply line for so much of Norwich City's most promising moments. And Tony Coton had to take evasive action. Now Quinn. A bit of space on this right-hand side for Edgehill and for Lomas just ahead of him. Edgehill looking though for Quinn. Here's David White with a chance. The best chance of the match so far. Almost 20 minutes gone. And David White set up by the combination of a deep and swinging cross from Richard Edgehill. And a nice downward header from Niall Quinn. It came to White at an awkward height. His first touch was pretty good. His second disappointing. Butterworth. Sutton down to Newman. And now Sutton into the path of Jeremy Goss. Good save by Coton. Another from the treachery of Jeremy Goss volleys. Sweetly struck. Here's Megson. Space for Bowen. Almost came to him off Edgehill. Sutton again. In goes Goss. Chance for Fox. And Norwich City have got the breakthrough. 13 minutes of the second half gone. And Roel Fox's first goal for over a month. Cheers the faithful in the East Anglian rain. Good header though by Newman. Steve McMahon took a deflection. Be another corner. Brian Gundy was impeded by Keith Hackett. City getting on with it. Lomas into Quinn, and that's 1-1. Norwich City are in front for less than 2 minutes. Gunn beaten by the looping header. Smart driven cross, and Quinn made the most of it, and Manchester City are on terms. Here's Goss. Curl though, now Phelan. Holston. Goss. Newman. Edgehill in towards Griffiths. He'd only just got there. In fact, Griffiths has managed to win it for himself. Oh, he's been penalised. Well, he thinks he scored a goal to treasure, but Keith Hackett has penalised him and ruled that Carl Griffiths kicked the ball out to Brian Gunn's hands, and the goal's been disallowed.
And a reminder of our live coverage on Wednesday, Norwich against Inter Milan in the last 16 of the UEFA Cup. That's live, Wednesday night. Well, now the rest of today's action, starting with the champions and leaders, Manchester United, home to Wimbledon.
Manchester United last lost a game at Old Trafford 13 months ago. That was against Wimbledon. There was no repeat performance today. Gary Pallister opening the scoring. But United suddenly had a fight on their hands to preserve their 11-point lead when John Fashanu equalised from Holdsworth's chip. United responded to the challenge with a typical and spectacular Mark Hughes goal, United leading 2-1. And Eric Cantona started the move, which led to Andrei Kanchelskis putting the result beyond doubt. A powerful run from Kanchelskis. Manchester United 3, Wimbledon 1, United's 8th successive league victory.
Aston Villa are now United's closest challengers after a somewhat fortuitous 4th straight victory against Sheffield United. Dalian Atkinson's powerful low cross was met by Guy Whittingham 14 minutes from time for his 2nd goal in successive games. Sheffield deserved a point, but it's now 11 league matches without a win for the Yorkshire side.
And Everton are finding life at Goodison Park pretty tough. Today's defeat by Queen's Park Rangers was their 4th at home. Trevor Sinclair heading the ball back across the area for the first of Allen's 3. Everton were jeered off the pitch at half-time, and worse was to follow. Sinclair's shot turned against the post, Allen on hand to make it 2-0. Rangers completed their 5th win in 6 games, scoring probably their most impressive goal of the season, certainly in terms of build-up. 10 passes from beginning to end as Bradley Allen crowned a memorable day, and Rangers' impressive climb up the table continues.
I think it was a terrific team performance. Everybody was outstanding. We played some lovely football, and all credit to the team.
Another London side enjoying a good run of form are West Ham. 2 wins and 2 draws in their previous 5 matches. From Tim Breaker's cross, Alvin Martin, playing only his 4th game after injury, scored his 1st goal for 14 months. Oldham's chances diminished further when Chris Making's flying challenge on Breaker saw him sent off. His manager, Joe Royal, blamed the overreaction of the crowd for the dismissal. Matt Holmes' free kick and terrible marking allowed Trevor Morley to score a 2nd. The Hammers' only problem today, a half-time floodlight failure.
John Walk seems to have been playing for Ipswich almost as long as Swindon have been searching for a win. Today, Walk marked his 600th appearance for the club with 2 goals. That was the first. In contrast, Keith Scott began the week expecting to play for Wycombe against Crewe. His 14 goals for the 3rd Division club, though, persuaded Swindon to pay £300,000 for him, and they got an instant return. But Ipswich moved back in front from the penalty spot through John Walk after Kiwomya had been tripped. It's been a miserable old week for Paul Bowden, a penalty miss for Wales on Wednesday. I wonder what was going through his mind 7 minutes from time when he had the responsibility of earning Swindon a point after Youds had felled Ling. Undeterred by events in Cardiff, Bowden showed great character, took aim, and this time the smash paid off. But Swindon Town are still looking for their first league win.
The Welsh penalty will always be sort of in my mind. It was a big penalty and unfortunately it's hit the crossbar, but today certainly brushes aside a lot of that memory.
Only 2 wins in the last 14 games for Sheffield Wednesday, and few signs of improvement today. Indeed, Coventry's Mickey Quinn came closest to scoring with a header onto the bar. A rare appearance for manager Trevor Francis, a desperate measure in difficult times for Wednesday.
Manchester United, with 8 successive wins in the Championship, stay 11 points clear. Aston Villa move into 2nd place above Norwich. The top 3 now are the same 1, 2, 3 as at the end of last season. And QPR's comprehensive win at Everton lifts them 3 places to 4th. Not a win today for any of the bottom 7, so there's no change in the order there. Swindon are still the only club in the 4 divisions yet to win, and Chelsea will go into Monday night's home game against Manchester City, desperate to end a run of 6 defeats. Well, football's under discussion at the moment, but it is, after all, a simple game. Good night.
I think if they would have done more passes, they would have got nearer to the goal. And when Stuart Pearce done that pass to Seaman, disgraceful.